I think he deserves it, thank you. He's so enthusiastic. If you want the car, you can have it for £3 grand. I'm not even going to quibble with that, gents. I'm not going to quibble. I'm not going to quibble with that. Got yourself a crack. Thank you very much. Yeah. Cheers, thank you. Thank you. Well done, mate. Thank you.
Hello guys, and welcome to my 40th video of Paul's Yard UK. We're getting there, we're plugging away, but more importantly, welcome on board to the Vanden Plas 1500. I nearly said Allegro there, apparently I'm not allowed to. But to most people seeing it out on the street and stuff, they go, oh lovely, beautiful Allegro. Well, let's call it a posh Allegro, but it's a Vanden Plas 1500. 1976, so it's 47 years old at the time of filming, and this is my first video out in the car, really, 40th video of the channel, as I just said. So I thought, where can we do a decent video, have a walk around the car in the right environment without loads of noise and stuff going on. So I thought, Brooklands Museum. And behind me is a little super mixer just pulled up. There's an area just in front of the clubhouse here that's reserved for classic cars, and we're 47 years of age, so I think, yeah, we qualify for that, don't we? So I'm going to do more of an in-depth video about the maintenance and what's happened to this car since I bought it off Wheeler Dealers back in October 2022. It was quite a long drawn-out process, but it wasn't anyone's fault in particular. It's just working on old cars takes a long time if you're sending bits off. But I'm planning to go to Norfolk to meet the guy in person. There's been hundreds of phone calls and messages, but to meet him in person and have a chat with him about everything he did, because it'd be better than to do it that way in person with him rather than try and do it over the phone. So he's more than happy for me to come up and pay him a visit at some point. So we've got a couple of more jobs to do on the car, believe it or not, despite all the money that's been spent on it, but they're small jobs now, and we'll go into them in a minute. But I think it's time to do a little montage video around the Posh Allegro now in its environment here at Brooklands. But thanks for watching, and if you're new to the channel and you like what you're seeing today, please subscribe and enjoy the video, guys. Thank you. It's high time we have a quick walk around this Posh Allegro Vanden Plas 1500. I'm going to show you it in all its glory, even the warps and all, and the jobs that we've still got to do. So I hope you enjoy this. So here's where the largest amount of work was carried out. We had a full engine rebuild here and a full automatic gearbox rebuild, which took quite some time, sending parts off and raiding the guy's garage of every spare part he had, basically. Yeah, it's presentable, it's not perfect, but the main thing is it all works and everything's been replaced that needed to be. So let's wander round to the interior now. Just, we can't go past those Vanden Plas hubcaps, can we? So in here we've got Connolly leather, and we've got proper Allegro overmats. There's the automatic bit gearbox, which is hilarious. And if you did see the programme on Wheeler Dealers, that's the hydro dipped dashboard. The texture's obviously very flat and smooth because it's like a transfer, but I'd rather have that than, well, I would, some people wouldn't, but this is all cracked up. That's just to show what it would have been like, just to take it back to 1976. But it's just a nice thing to look at every day. Nice headlining as well in there. As we come round, I actually bought a newspaper from the day this car was registered, on the 1st of February 1976. And it's about a naughty politician again, back in 76. Nothing's changed much, has it? As we come back round here, there's still a few more jobs to do, believe it or not. So we have a warp disc, but they're very rare. So there's a pair of discs that I'm going to clean up and get put on. There's some wheel bearings in there, I should say, and some brake pads. And they're the last three jobs, well, last of 4 jobs to do actually. As we wander around here, look, got the picnic tables, armrests galore, his and hers ashtrays, another ashtray over there, got an armrest here which is lovely. It drives like an absolute dream, well, almost. So what we've got in there, common problem, are the wheel bearings. So let's turn this. The common problem are the wheel bearings. The grease is sat at the bottom because the car's not moved for 10 years. and the rust at the top was eventually cut through like a cutting compound through that grease, so we've got whoop, 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 whoop. It's horrendous because they're quite short drive shafts on this, and that now is vibrating through the whole engine. So we've just taken a chance and come to Brooklands today, which is like a 10-minute drive, just to give it a stretch, you know, just to keep the car moving and stuff. But that's booked in for about a week's time. We also have a warped brake disc, so they're being changed as well. So it's just a couple of more jobs to do, and then there's one. Oh, there's another car arriving here, we can't ignore that. Look at that beauty. These are the original Dunlop. I'm just going to close my car doors for this guy. These are the original Dunlop hydrogas units. And what people do, they pump the car up. I know there are not many cars that got them anymore, but they pump the car up, but in the top there is nitrogen, and that escapes over the years. It's certainly gone over the past 47 years because the ride's horrendous at the moment, but they're due to come in October. They're going to replace all 4 cans, and we'll have a lovely floating suspension again. So that's the last of the jobs to do. Let's have a wander around. What engine you got in there?
It's just a 995.
God, it sounds a bit fruity.
I know, doesn't it?
I was like, we jumped out the bench when you turned it on.
Yeah, she still doesn't get out much, so there's still, yeah.
Get her out more, get her out more.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank
Keep
you.
going, drive safe. So I just want to sort of slot a bit of a timeline into this mayhem video. I'm just trying to cobble it all together here somehow. But yeah, something to be thinking, well, how did you get this car? What was the background story to it? Where did it come from, you know? So there I was back in October. I didn't have a classic car in the yard. The Metros are gone, the MGs are gone, and it was just me and a bit of tumbleweed in the yard. So come October, I thought, right, let's look for something that's 40 years or older, because this ULEZ is coming right near our front door in Walton-on-Thames. So I thought it needs to be 40 years or older, preferably British, and preferably British Leyland within budget and not too rusty and not too much work. So scrolling through, and it hadn't been on long by the looks of it on the eBay listing, this popped up. For a well-known TV show, the purchaser would be encouraged to take part in a TV show. Ring this number, WD. Well, didn't take much working out that was Wheeler Dealers, and I met Mike a couple of times before. So drove down to Oxford sometime mid-November, I can't remember exactly, looked around it and took it for a test drive, and there was issues with the reverse on the gearbox. It was slipping, but the rest of the car was really good. So they said, what do you want to do? So I gave them a deposit. About 2 days later, decided to go for it because they were getting ready to film this for the end of the series. So did a deal, paid the money, and about a week later, off we went to Bourton-on-the-Water in the Cotswolds. There's a little museum there, which is on one of my previous videos when we did the handshake. I'll slot that in as well somewhere up here of us doing the deal. And it was a fantastic day. The weather was atrocious. It chucked it down, it sunshined, it chucked it down. We did about 10 takes, and I was very professional apparently. Yeah. Didn't get a fee for it, but anyway, got a nice car out of it. So there we go. We do a day's filming in November 2022, and they said, we just want to do the last bit of filming back at the studios. I said, yes, totally understandable, I know the drill. And took it with this slight issue with the gearbox, just a slight sort of slipping in reverse. I thought, we'll deal with that because the rest of the car's worth it. Get a call early December thinking, oh, they're going to deliver it now, they finished their filming. Not quite. I was walking along with my wife at the time actually into Walton, and the phone rang, and if she wasn't there she wouldn't have believed this, but anyway they said, we can't deliver the car as it is. And I went, oh, that's a shame, what's the problem? And they said, it's about that gearbox, we actually want to do a full rebuild of the gearbox and the engine. And I was like, oh, okay, what's this going to do? And they said, no, we're taking care of it as part of the TV programme. I was like, whoa, deep sigh of relief, good. Now, time frame, how long is that going to take? Bearing in mind this was well into winter now, so I wasn't going to use the car much, but it'd be nice to sort of know. And the idea was 2 to 3 months at the most. And I thought, okay, that'd be good, we'll get it for springtime, that's great. Anyway, it didn't quite pan out that way, because once he started delving into it, it was a bit more of a basket case, shall we say, as what the mechanic said, a bit more of a basket case than he first thought. So bits had to get, it's no one's fault, you know, at the end of the day. Things have to be sent off, and if they're really busy, and there ain't a queue of mechanics around the corner that can work on these automatic Vanden Plas anymore. So we were in it, and I did get very despondent at times. I thought we're into 4 months, 5 months now. but I'm glad I hung in there. So eventually we got it about a month ago. It arrived in the yard, and I was over the moon when it arrived. I really was. So the best things come to those who wait, is what what someone said. So yeah, I was glad I hung in there. It took 7 months in total, but we've now got a car that runs, and there's a couple of little jobs to do, but that wasn't part of the automatic gearbox and engine rebuild thing. So I'm glad that was all sorted out by them, and we've got a little bit of a warranty on it as well, which is good. So just get these last few mechanical jobs out the way, and we're good to go. But it drives lovely as it is. It's just the wheel bearing, the suspension's a bit harsh. We'll get that sorted, and we've got a walk brake disc. So yeah, and they did an MOT on it as well. So those things didn't come up because it had hardly been used, and the wheel bearings are basically, the grease is sat at the bottom. The rust at the top had acted as a cutting compound and gone through that grease, and now we've got the inevitable whoop, 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 whoop. So but yeah, that's all booked in for next week to be done, and we'll be up and running properly then. But anyway, thought I'd slot this in somewhere because a lot of people want to know, and yeah, we're going to do a bit more of a map of the country of where this car's been over the past sort of 30 years, and it's quite interesting. Cheers. So amongst some of the few items left in the Vanden Plas were a collection of maps, and this one's perfect, the southeast of central England. I thought I'd sort of chart the history that we know of the car. The first owner we can find is a lady called Mrs. Price, and we don't know how long she had the car, but she lived in Ledbury, and in 1998, we don't know how long she had the car to this point, she had a full gearbox rebuild, and the car was 22 years old then and on about 25,000 miles. So at that point, I think she bailed out. We don't know if it was part of a deceased sale or what, how long she'd had it, but we think she was the second owner, okay? It then gets sold in 1998, shortly after the gearbox rebuild, to a lovely guy called Bernard, who showed the car off and won many awards with it, to a place called Wheeler near south of Leicester, okay? So in 2012, he sadly was unwell or passed away, I believe. I'm not sure the exact facts on that. But then it heads down to Epsom in Surrey, where a guy called Peter owns it, and it's his wife that was filmed on the Wheeler Dealers episode of this Vanden Plas 1500. And so at that point, Wheeler Dealers get involved. They buy it, take it back to their studios here in Westcott, okay, to their studios there where they do all the filming and that. There's probably a little pop-up shot will come of me viewing the car, and that's where they film all the programmes. So it's at this point where the troubles began, because they realised the gearbox and engine needed a rebuild. And in January 2023, it heads all the way out, as far as we can go to the east, pretty much, to a place called Catfield, just near Great Yarmouth, where it stays there till August 2023. Comes all the way back after the engine rebuild and gearbox rebuild, back to the studios, to Westcott Park there. And that's where it gets MOT'd by a third party. They deal with the MOTs, which it passed beautifully. At that point, the car's now ready to come to me. And it comes down to Walton-on-Thames, right next to where this all started. This episode with Wheeler Dealers. Look, there's Epsom, about 5 miles away. So I thought it was quite interesting to show the journey this had been on since 1998. There you go.